if you had a lock and you wanted to repin it, or at least very much take it apart or anything of that nature. A couple of things you need. First of all, that tail cap. It's got to get out of the way. On yours, thankfully, they are just ring caps. They're not these little clip springs which go flying all the time, the little sear clips. So depressing, many of you figured this out already. If you depress the little plunger, you can get that off of there. Careful, the little plunger does have a teeny tiny spring. Don't lose that. Right now, the idea would be the plug could just pass out the front of the lock, but it can't. It's stuck. Why is it stuck?
Pins.
Yeah, there's pins. The plug is not free. You need to free the plug. If you have the real key, you can use the real key and turn it. If you don't have the real key, you can pick it. You can also do something called rear shimming, where it's, again, there's a chapter in one of my books about this if you want to do locksmithy stuff. You involve a blank key. You ride a blank key and slowly extract it, dropping the pins down and trying to thin shim from the rear. But the easiest way, 9 times out of 10, is to pick it or break it in that instance. That worked pretty damn well. Now, if I just push this straight out the front of the plug, those pins are all going to spring, the drivers are going to fly down. Now, let's say I don't really care. I could just let that fly away. But if you really want, you would use a follower tool. Now, they make proper ones, beautiful plastic and metal ones. I just use a dowel. And if I push the plug out using the follower tool, I now have freed the plug, and I've kept the driver pins all captive up in here. And this is just a little number 3 lock, so I actually don't mind if I eject these out. So if I go, good blink, good blink. So those pins have ejected out. You should have another spring stuck in there somewhere. One of those springs is jammed up on you. Look at that. Come on. Come out of there. In fact, I'll even make this a fun, that spring's a little bent. I'm going to make a fun little challenge lock. I'll just pass. So this lock isn't even that challenging from its bitting perspective. So we don't have a lot of variation. This was obviously very rakeable. Let's do this. Let's grab let's mix up some springs and other things. So if I do different, why would different springs be interesting?
They'll give you different amounts of pressure.
Yeah, different pressure, different feedback happening when you're picking. And it's still just going to be a 3-pin lock. I'm going to make it a little bit more of an advanced 3-pin lock, but only 3 pins. Rather long pin there. Tell me I've got a serrated driver. Maybe? Yeah, there we go. Put a little serrated driver pin here. Let's put a spool pin in the front. I'm not a complete bastard. And the back will just be a regular pin. That's a little broken spring. And to be a little bit, hey, you're skilled in this class, right? Let's go ahead and do the Jerry Finch method. Second chamber back. Am I on camera still? I'm not on camera. Actually going to cut the threads in the chamber. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera very cleanly, but there are threads cut in there now in that second chamber. So now we want to put this all back together, right? It's going to go together like this. Well, we need to do a few things. We need to, if we want, we can just drop our key pins in the plug. 1, 2, and 3. Then we need to populate the driver pins. How do we do that? Well, the reverse of how we pop them out. So I'm going to work deepest to front. So back to front. Here's the deepest spring and the driver pin that goes with it. I put a little notch in my follower tools for that reason. Just shake it onto the notch. Come on. Sit still. So I've got my pin and spring. I can just press it down and advance the follower tool 1 position. Yeah, this is really cool to see. This is working out well. Next spring, next pin. Push that guy down, push it in. And then the frontmost spring. And I am using a little spool pin in the front position. Push that down. Thank you. So now we've got our follower tool holding those drivers that we put together. If I push the plug into the lock, do I want it straight up and down? No, why would that be bad? Yeah, the pins are immediately going to start falling in the wrong chamber. You got to turn that at an angle. And then I just snap it back through. And here goes nothing. Click. So that has been repinned. I'm going to grab a Sharpie or something and mark a little challenge face on it. When you're locking your tail ring back on, just go all the way tight and then back it off by like 1 or 2 little divots. So, yeah. So we saw how easily this 3-pin lock opened earlier. Just trying to rake it, not going to be a real positive experience. I can guarantee you that. That's a really long number 2. You saw it. You saw the pins on here. It was a long number 2 pin with some serrations on it. Trying to get the pin behind it is no bueno. I'm locked up on a spool at the moment. I could try to get around that front spool. No, this is going to be a nice little challenge. That you don't need to have a lock full of a ton of pins to be challenging. You can even feel the serrations click by click by click. Yeah, you can still see we're still on the spool.